we have a new rig to try. Hopefully you can see that. It's an URFE bar with a splashdown, a 4-foot long snood, a little pop up there, all clipped, ready to go. Look at that. So streamlined, so simple. Hi everybody, and welcome to Pevensey Bay. Well, it's towards the end of February. I haven't been out fishing for a while. You might have noticed, if you're one of my regular viewers, I haven't put quite as many videos up over the last couple of weeks as normal. A couple of reasons for that. One, the weather, and probably the bigger reason, I got the flu. Terrible. I'm still not quite over it. 2 weeks later, still coughing. Not great, but hey, good to be out in the fresh air. What is the plan for the day? Well, we had a big blow night before last. The sea is full of colour. So will there be any Plaice around? Maybe, maybe not. Probably whiting unless they've moved on. I haven't been out for a few weeks, as I said, because I've not been well and because of the weather. So I'm not really sure what's going to be coming out today. But I also thought I'd mix things up a little bit. So again, if you normally watch my channel, you know I love targeting the flatties, which is why I have this little hope in my heart there's going to be a Plaice out there today. I'm just looking at the sea. Definitely coloured. It doesn't even look clear further out, so that's going to be a challenge, which is why I thought I'd just mix it up and stick out a bit of fish bait to see if we can get a ray. So what baits do I have in my little cool pack? It's a short session, so I haven't brought a huge amount of stuff with me. High tide's in about, what time is it now? High tide's in 2.5 hours roughly. I've got some frozen blacks. There's 20 in there. And I've got another wrap of 10 that's been out the freezer before. And an even skankier pack that's probably about half full. So it's 35 lug. We have one oily frozen bluey. And I've got about a dozen razors in that bag. The nice little ones that come out on the beaches down here at Pevensey that I've collected before in the storms. So that's the bait. We've got mixed tactics. We're going to have 2 rigs sent out for flatties and smaller stuff. I've got a bigger rig to stick out chunks of this bluey, but I've only got one, so I'm going to spread that out through my session and not get it all used at once. So we'll try and keep everything frozen in the cool pack, and in a minute we'll get out some rigs. So rigs. Well, I like to keep all my rigs and little bits stored in one of these little mini backends that I got from Tronics Pro. Great for rigs. So what do we have for today? I've got 3 different rigs. That's a 2-loop rig. We'll take a look at it when it's baited up. It's got 18-inch snoods made with 22 pound 0.3 fluorocarbon. Now, a day like today with the colour in the sea, definitely don't need to use fluorocarbon. But I'm tending to make all my rigs like this now. It doesn't hurt when the sea is dirty, but when the sea is clear, it might pick up that extra fish. A 60 pound Xenon rig body, and on that one there are size 4 super matches, so quite little hooks, bit of scratching around. My second choice of rig, this is one that was actually recommended to me by someone who watches my channel in a comment. They'd seen me using a bar rig in one of my previous videos, and they said, why don't you try just using an URFE bar with a long snood? So I'm giving that a go. I'm not sure if it's going to tangle or not. That's what I'm interested to see. I've got some bar rigs with me just in case I need to swap over later. But here's this little rig. It's got a 4-foot snood, really long snood. That's got a size 2 Varivas Aberdeen hook. And that literally is a long snood. And as usual, I've got a little bait stop there, which is a sequin, a pop-up bead from Tronics Pro, and a little bit of rubber there to stop that sliding up more, to add a bit of extra tension. Even though that pop-up bead grips, I've got a little bit of a rubber stop there just to hold it in place better. And at the other end we have our URFE bar, tiny little bar, And at the top of my snood, I've put a bit of rig tubing because I was worried about that tangling going on. That's a 2.5 inch piece of tube on the URFE bar. And at the bottom, I've put a splashdown on there to clip the hook in. So we're going to see how that rig works. We'll probably stick this one out first because I'm intrigued by it. And my third rig of the day, where did I put it? Third rig of the day. This is a 3-foot pulley rig, and it's got a size 5.0 short shank bait hook on it. I was about to get that out of the packet, but we're going to take a look at that when I've got it set up. I've already got that URFE rig / Bagnall bar rig, whatever you want to call it, halfway between the two, ready to go. So I'm going to get that one baited up before it becomes tangled mess, and then we'll take a better look at the other 2 rigs as well. See you in a second. Before we go back to looking at the rigs, what rods have I got today? Well, Century, Tip Tornado, Graphics Super Matches. Got my pair of these. They're already quite damp. There's a lot of dampness in the air. Just make sure that spigot's clean, no bits of grit on it before I push it together. Very snug fits, these. I had to spend a lot of time working the spigots when I got them to get them to fit together properly. Century, really, you should sort that out if you're watching. I never had it with any other brand of rods, and I've used a lot of rods in my time. And I'm going to pair this one with my blue 7HT. Get that lined up. So as standard, you probably know these rods come with a reel seat, but I prefer coasters. So I actually swapped them on these rods. Right, get the line up. And I'm going to stick on this, that URFE bar rig, whatever we want to call it. Clipped down URFE, maybe that's a good name for it. But yeah, thanks for the tips. So yeah, any other comments for tips? I love seeing them. We all like to do things our own way, so some tips I will take on and some I won't, but you know, that's life. We all want to do things the way that work best for us. Not just in fishing, in life, of course. Right, let's got that up. The eyes. So I'm going to get this rig clipped on the end, and then we'll look at baiting it up. Right, that's nice and secure. Rig, there we are. So that is literally the rig body. It's just an URFE bar. So clip that on the end. I got this lovely long 4-foot snood. We're going to get out a bit of black lug, a bit of this frozen lug. So I'm going to need some bait elastic on here. I'm going to use the Manky wrap to start with. Like I said, it's about half full. It's a nice looking worm. Trim the ends, help let the scent out. And the sandy tail is good for no one. And a bait needle. Check it's the right one. Yep. Wayne gave me a bait needle called the Big Dong, which is available from the Shore Hunter website, which is fantastic for big baits, and I'll use that a bit later on with my fish bait. But for my worm baits, I prefer a thinner needle with a nice point at the end. Bait elastic, Tronics Pro Baytech. Give that a good whip. So here we go, the business end. One juicy lugworm. Make a little bit more space by sliding the bait stop up. And we're just going to stick that on that size 2 hook. Slide it round and slide the bait stop back down so it's just touching the top of the worm there. Right, that's perfect. Excuse me, coughing a little. It's going to be a theme of the session, I think. Nasty old flu it was I had. Going around, isn't it? Right, so we're going to clip that hook in the splashdown. And you can see there, that is just clipped in with the snood dangling like it would on a loop rig. And I just want to see how this is going to fare with the grip lead there, because that could get a little bit tangled up. It might work better with a plain lead if we have trouble with the grips. I haven't really got decent plain leads on me today for distance. I've got hybrid leads, which are great, but they do compromise the distance a bit. So if the fish are close in, I might switch over to one of them. But I'm going to start off banging it out. So I need to get my thumbie. Which hand? That hand. I need to get my thumbie on. I've had a few comments as well about the thummies. I use a little bit of bicycle inner tube. Always a little bit tight at first when I cut up a new piece off. But they do soften up. There we go. That is going to allow me to grip the spool better. So we're going to get this one whacked out. So there we go. All clipped up, ready to go. I've already checked my drop length. Let's get the baits out. First chuck, I'll check my mags. Make sure they're not too loose. Walk a little bit to the right, to my right. That'll be your left. Check we're not twisted around that top eye. Just put the mags up to 4, they were on 2, which is a little bit loose for first chuck. Oh, I've got a dog walker coming past, I'll just let them go past. See you in a second, I'll edit that bit out. So, coast is clear, not going to injure anyone. Quick check out to sea, no crazy swimmers down here yet. Alright, lid on the deck. And we're good to go. There we go. Bait's out. Didn't lift, but I did get a slight overrun here. So I probably got the mag set about right then. Last time I used this reel, I was doing a bit of casting practice. You saw my previous video, I had a few chucks. So that's probably why my mags were down on 2. But there we go. The baits are in the water. We got them out there. So, one rod out. Let's get the next one done. This time I'm going to set up this pulley rig whilst keeping an eye on the other rod there. So the pulley rig, like I said, it was a 3-foot pulley, size 5.0 hook at the bottom. It's actually quite a small 5.0. This is a short shank bait hook from Tronics Pro. I quite like these for fishing small fish baits. Nice strong hook. For some reason I like the short shank on them. I actually like them when I'm pollock fishing over in Norway, because they're great for just head hooking a ragworm, sticking it down the side of the jetty you're fishing off and targeting some pollock on a light rod. It's great fun. Right, let's just adjust that splashdown a little bit. It's got a bit bent, as they do. I often use my forceps just to make sure the gap isn't big enough for the lead to come out. So we got at the bottom, splashdown. That's probably a 75-pound Zen and rig body. Doesn't really matter for the raise, 60-pound would have done. And that's a 3-foot, 40-pound amnesia snood with that hook at the bottom. And in the middle there we got the pulley beads either side of it, and a size 1 swivel. So that's our ray rig. To be honest, I'd have preferred to use a running rig, but this is what I grabbed this morning before I set off, thinking, why don't I have a go for a ray? Not that I'm into ray fishing, so I don't really know what I'm doing. Just doing what I've learned a little bit over the years. I've caught a few, you know, but my best one's only about £5 thorny, which is quite small in the ray standards. So we got this bit of bluey. Like that bluey I showed you, I've chopped it into 3 pieces. So I took the tail off. This is a third of the bluey. And what I'm doing now is just using my scissors to chop it down the middle to turn that into 2 pieces of fish. So there we go. That's now in 2 halves. I've got 2 other pieces about the same length in my box. And I'm just going to use quite a small bait because I've only bought the 1 bluey. This is where I need my big dong bait needle from Wayne. which is that one. If I hold them both up, you can probably see, might be hard to come out, but the big dong, that's this one, is a slightly thicker wire than this other one that I like to use my worm baits. Certainly a lot stiffer. So this one does flex a bit, whereas that one like really bendy. So different bait needles for different baits. So we're going to push this into that piece of fish down the centre. Down the centre. The mathematician brain in me says, what does it mean? What do you mean by the centre? You know, I am a bit special. Right, and then we have some Baytech. This is the heavy one, except she says dropping it on the floor. Now I've got a massive long end, I'll just snap that bit off. Right, then we're going to whip this on to the bait needle. Get it reasonably secure. Oops, I snapped the elastic. Find the end again. Anyone else 50 have trouble seeing it? I do. Oh. All fingers and thumbs this morning. Excuse me, coughing. Whipped, there we are. It's better. So I've given that a bit of a whip, and then I'm going to get my hook and I'm just going to nick that through the bluey. Make sure that hook's nice and proud there, and now I'm going to get some more bait elastic and go over it again. I think this bait elastic is still in slightly better days, it's quite old. Just slide that down to the other end of the bait needle. Now we're going to give this a really good whip on, because we want to make sure that hook is held in place. Yeah, that's a little bit rotten. It's been in my box for a very, very long time. I'll pull a few yards off and that'll sort it out. It's usually just the first few yards where it's been a bit exposed to the air, because it does degrade, which is one of the reasons for wanting to use this sort of bait elastic. It's not going to sit in the sea forever. It's going to rot down. There we are. Yep. So there we have our bait on the bait needle. I'm going to slide that bait needle out, and there we go. It's quite a small little compact bait, but that's just what I wanted. So we get it clipped in the splashdown here, and I get my other rod set up, which is another Century Supermatch Graphics, and I'm going to pair that with my Fathom 15 and I can set the ratchet on this reel, which is one reason I like using it when I'm fishing for slightly bigger fish. So I'm going to get that set up and I'll see you in a sec. So time to get that little fish bait chucked out. I'm going to walk a bit that way so that my lines aren't too close together. And the one I chucked out first with that, what did I call it, URFE, whatever it was, has had a bite. Probably a whiting the way it went. You can watch that while I go and chuck out. Excuse me, coughing. Sorry about that. Right. Check the mags. Put it back there. I wish these reels had numbers on so you knew where the mag was set. Right, we're good to go. Going to aim slightly behind me with the cast. Look like that unclipped, which is quite unusual. I'll have to check that splashdown when it comes back in. Make sure it's functioning properly. It's very unusual for that to unclip on the cast. So we get this settled in the tripod. There goes that little bite again. Right, so what I'm going to do is put my ratchet on. I'll set my ratchet and loosen the drag off. Ratchet on. Perfect. Right, let me get my other rig ready and then we'll reel that bite in. So I've got my spare rig baited up. I've put razor fish on the bottom hook, lug on the top. We're now going to take a look at this bite, which seems to have gone quiet. Might have left it a bit too long, but you know, if it is a whiting, I'm not fussed about missing that. They don't go back well, so better that it comes off than I reel it all the way in. Looks like there's a bit of a tree floating in front of me, which isn't great. I'm hoping that is not on my line. I guess we'll find out soon enough if I'm coming through that or not. There's definitely weight here. Feels a bit like I'm dragging through something. I don't think it's that bit of tree that's floating past. It's just freed up. It's probably the sandbar that's out there. So there's two questions up there. One, do we have a fish? And the other is whether that rig tangled up. It's certainly a lot easier to make than a bar rig. I'll try and give it a name. Clipped down earth, that makes sense, doesn't it? Because it's an earth bar with a clip on the bottom. We're nearly in. The clipped down earth rig, that's my leader knot on the reel. And we do have a fish. I'll just walk down so I don't drag it up the beach. I think you can probably guess what it is. Or maybe you can't. It is not what I feared. It is not a ting-a-ling. How is that to start a session? It isn't the biggest, but we have an absolutely beautiful little schoolie bass caught on that frozen lug. So I'm going to get this in the bucket. It's obviously way undersized and it's closed season for keeping them anyway. So I'll get this guy in the bucket. He can have a bit of a recover while I get the other one sent out. See you in a sec. Well, that was a really pleasant way to start with a little schoolie. Much better than a whiting. But now I've got my loop 2 hook loop rig ready to go. You can see there I've got lug on the top hook and the razor on the bottom. 18-inch snoods and my usual bit of tubing to kick that away. Splash down at the bottom. And then we got the half SRT spring there, oops, at the top, just to put a bit of tension in the rig. So I'm going to get this one chucked back out and watch the shingle shifters go past. I'm not sure if you can see them. Just twist you around. There we go. It's going to make for a nice relaxing day, isn't it? Anyway, I'll get the bait chucked out. See you in a sec. So that's it. Bait's back out. I stuck that 2 hook loop rig in a bit closer than the clip down earth rig. I'm going to have to get that name in my head, aren't I? And what you can't see behind the camera is it looks like there's a lot of rain coming this way. Showers have been forecast this morning. It was about 5:30 when I left home today, and I can tell you it was peeing down. Light rain showers, it said. Well, it wasn't light rain in my mind. Anyway, it looks like there's some more coming, so you might have to be tucked inside the shelter in a minute, and it's going to make filming a bit more tricky. but hopefully we can still get some good footage. But yeah, so let's see how the session goes. If you've been enjoying the channel and you've already subscribed, thank you very much. Please consider clicking like and comments. I do love getting all your comments, and I try and reply to them all when I have time. So yeah, if you've got comments to leave, I'd love to hear what you're thinking. Do you enjoy the video? Anything you want to see? I've had a few questions asked, or a few requests, not questions, a few requests for rig making videos. There's already some up on my channel, so you can feel free to check those out. Just going through how I make them. I think there's one for sole rig. I've done a 3-hook loop rig. If you can make a 3-hook loop rig, it's easy to turn that into a 2-hook loop rig. And yeah, so they're already up there. There might be another one as well. So do check those out if you're one of the people that has been requesting rig videos. But as it happens, today we're focusing on the fishing. I'm getting too hot, but I'm going to have to keep my coat on because that rain is going to be here any second. So I'm going to dive in the shelter, get my rig rebaited, and I'll see you shortly. Well, I haven't seen any bites. It's time to check the 2-hook loop rig. This was loaded with lug at the top and razor at the bottom. Once this is in, we're going to get the clip down URFE rig back out. Again, it feels a little bit weighty, but it could just be that sandbar. Let's put that. Yeah, it's moving freely now. No touches on the bluey, that's just going to stay out there for a bit. When it comes back in, the other piece of that bluey tail, well, the tail, the end of the bluey, tail end of the bluey, I'll just top the bait up, assuming it hasn't been stripped, so that we've got a bigger bit of fish on there with fresh scent added from the other piece of the bluey. There's a bit of dampness in the air now, it's just starting to rain. So as soon as I got this chucked back out, that camera is going in the shelter. No fish, and those baits are completely untouched. Well, the lug is, I'm not sure about the razor, we'll have a look at that. But there you go, look. That looks exactly like it did when it went out. The razor fish, it slid down the hook a little bit. Could have been something tugging at it, or it could have just shifted. So get this rig switched over. I'm running out of beach to cast actually. Tide's come in quite a bit. Hoping I set up far enough back. So first chuck, my clip down URFE didn't tangle. Let's see if it does as well this one. I'm just going to get my thummy on. Always a bit of a tight squeeze. Oh. Right. So let's get this drop length checked and then I'll get cast out. Another inch. There we go. Good to go. Right, so because I've got a bit of cramped space, I'm going to go the other side and cast it slightly that way. I don't want to get cross lines, so we're going to aim slightly that way. What's out there? Will it pick up another little bass? That'd be nice, wouldn't it? I quite like catching schoolies. I don't like catching whiting so much. There we are. A little bit of line out. I've got that too tight. And there we have it. I've refreshed the baits. on that loop rig. The rain's arrived and it's time to reel in the fish bait. It's been out there over an hour, so it's definitely time to get it in, get it freshened up. Everything's getting wet. Right, turn the ratchet off before I start reeling. Get that drag tightened back up. And we get this in, we see if it's been stripped or see if there's anything left. It's supposed to be quite nice this afternoon, but I should be back home by then. I wanted to get down here early because of the high tide being mid-morning. As I said earlier, I set off from home at half 5. Just for a short session today to get out, see how the flu was cleared off or not. You know, when you start to feel better and you think, oh yeah, I'll do stuff. And then you find that you're actually overdoing it. I don't think I'm at risk of overdoing it today because it's been a few days where I felt alright. But we'll see. It's probably not the best idea, is it, come out and fish in the rain when you're getting over the flu. But hey, don't want to spend my life sitting at home all the time, feeling sorry for myself. Much rather be out here trying to catch a fish. And we've already had that nice little bass. Much more preferable than catching a whiting. So the fish bait looks untouched. Let's put this down. So I'm just going to top this up with another bit of bluey. Still tucked inside the tent, the shelter. There we are. So I'm going to bait up out here. I was going to show you sitting on my box out the rain, but you can't be in the rain. I don't want to ruin my kit. So my other bit of that bluey tail end, I've stuck on my big dong bait needle, and that's the piece we already had out. I've got the thin end away from the hook and the fat end at the hook, so I'm going to do this one the other way round. Line those up, get my bait elastic. I'm just going to whip this piece of bluey on so the skin is on the inside and the flesh is on the outside. It helps get a bit more scent out that way. I would have done that with the first piece as well, but it was a little bit too frozen at the time. That's defrosted a bit more now, so we can give this a good whip on. The elastic's going to be the only thing holding this extra piece on, but we're going to end up with a much more symmetrical bait doing it like this. So fat end to thin end, head, like the bit nearer the head is next to the bit that was nearer the tail. Right, there we are. So that's all nicely whipped on there. And we slide the big dong out, and you can see now that's a much more cylindrical, nice bait that should fly nicely through the air. So I'll just give my hands a quick clean, find my thumbie, make sure it's dry. No point putting a thumbie on if it's wet. Yeah, it looks good. Because a wet thumbie is as good as no thumbie. In fact, it's worse than no thumbie because you're just going to slip, slip, slip. So let's get this clip back up, get it sent back out. Get that pulley bead. Hope I set up far enough back. I think I have. It's a pretty small tide today, so I don't think it's going to come in much more. Right, so I was going to check this splashdown, wasn't I? Looks alright, so I'm not sure why that unclipped. Let's see how we get on this time. Make sure that hook's in there properly. There we are. So it's definitely clipped up alright. Put my hoods down while I cast out. I just don't like having hoods up when I'm casting out. I find it restricts my movement. Yeah, you see that's just popped out again, look. The splashdown's a bit twisted up. Right, try again. See what happens on the cast. Right, it's definitely properly in. So we're good to go. Make sure that's dry. Let's drop length. Nice grip on that wet spool. So I'm just going to stick this back at about 2 o'clock. There we are. And we'll get this one out. That didn't unclip, that's much better. Flew through the air a bit more nicely. Just a little flick. So I'm getting a bit peckish. Alright, ratchet on. Loosen the drag. There we go. Right, time for me to get back out of the rain. Well, it's just gone high tide. I've made myself a cuppa and the fishing has been very, very slow. It is February, so we can't expect much really, but it's still nice, isn't it, to be out down the beach giving it a go rather than stuck at home. Excuse me 1 second. The old flu hasn't quite gone, but I'm going to enjoy this cup of tea. I'm going to keep watching the rods and see if we can pick something else up on the ebb. I'm hoping when the tide starts to I was going to say flood, that's the wrong way around, isn't it? Starts to ebb, maybe something will be picked up on the fish bait. Sounds like the ratchet going then. I don't know, maybe you were looking at that rod. Was I imagining it? I guess I'll see when I watch the footage back, won't I? Anyway, I'm going to enjoy my cup of tea. I've made myself some porridge as well. I'm going to eat that, get some energy back, and then chill out while this rain is coming down. And hopefully it will stop pretty soon. Now you are going to go inside my shelter so you don't get too wet. See you in a bit. Sorry, you ain't very level. I've just turned the camera on while I'm reeling in because there's a bit of weight on here. Maybe we got a fish. I didn't see any bites, but it certainly feels a bit heavier. Could just be that sandbar that's out there. This is that one hook clip down URFE rig. Loaded with frozen lug. Question remains, is there anything on there? Be nice, wouldn't it, to get more than one fish? But it is February and the tides today are minuscule. I think it's a 5.6 metre high we've just had, which around these parts of the world is pretty small. Oh, that's the lead knot coming down the rod. Have we got anything? We have. It's a sluggy slug. Look at that. A fat little rockling caught on the clip down URFE rig. Lovely lip hooked. So this guy's going to go back well. But there we go. 2 fish, 2 species. Well, I hope you're feeling nice and cosy, tucked up in the shelter while this rain is coming down. I just had a bite on the right hand rod. That's got the 2-hook loop rig on it. And yeah, we'll just see what's going to happen. Gentle little taps. Looks a bit like a pout bite, but I'm not sure there's going to be pout around. You never know though. What I really want is the fish bait to whack right round. Nice big ray on the end, thank you very much. Just need to see if that right hand rod's going to go again. I'll hang up my bar rig while we're waiting for that to happen. My bar rig. My clip down URFE, look at that. I love this rig. So thank you ever so much for the comment on that. I've really enjoyed using it today. It's worked really well, and it's been the one I've caught the 2 fishes on. There we go. Well, let's see if this bite's going to come to anything. Let's get it reeled in. Gentle little taps on it. If it doesn't feel like there's anything there, I'll pop the rod back down. Could be a bit of weight, so let's get it reeled in. Maybe it's another little slug, eh? This one was only plopped out maybe 60 yards. Doesn't feel as heavy as the last time I reeled in, when we did have the slug. Moment of truth. Did we hook him? No, missed it. Oh well, can't get them all. Let's change the rigs over. So this one was loaded with lug, and at the top hook, lug and razor cocked out the bottom. I can't tell which hook that bite had a go at, but if I had to hazard a guess, I'd say the bottom one, but hard to tell. This one we just got lug on. Because of this rain, I'm not going to put my thumbie on. I'm not going to whack this too far. Because a wet thumbie is worse than no thumbie. Anyway, let's get these baits back out. Or this bait, one bait. That cast's so smooth. That, honestly, that flies through the air, that rig. Oops. Mind the other line. I'm just going to say a few words about that rig. Get this one out of the way first. Right, grab a cup of tea. So what can we say about this rig? Well, it hasn't tangled like I thought it would. It's been the one that's picked up the fish, which is really cool. And does it fly through the air? Absolutely. You know, normally when you cast out, you can, if you got, the more bait you put on, the bigger your rig, more hooks, you feel it slowing in the air and you feel the drag. With this rig, I haven't felt any drag. It feels like casting a plain lead, and it really does fly. I haven't been really whacking it today, but the distances I've been getting for fairly simple, easy casts, definitely impressed. I'm going to be using it again. I've got a few more URFE bars at home, but I'm going to have to stock up now, aren't I? Any excuse to buy a bit more fishing tackle. Right, those rods are now sitting there nice. The rain's coming down. I'm going to get back in the shelter, and I'll see you again in a bit. Well, I've just sorted out that rig I reeled in, and we've got a bite on the fish bait. It wasn't the biggest bite in the world, but it did rattle, and it's gone a couple of times, so I'm going to pick it up and see if we can feel anything on the end. Rain is definitely coming down now. It's not very pleasant. And given that I haven't been well, if it doesn't clear up soon, I might call it a day. Maybe another half hour. With any luck, it'll ease off. No, there's nothing on here. We'll check the bait, sort it out, get it chucked back out. Well, let's take a look. I don't think you can actually tell anything's had a go at this. It still looks pretty pristine. Look at that. So yeah, probably something small, just plucking at it. I'll get some fresh bait on, get it wiped back out. Well guys, it's still raining, you're still in the tent, and I've had some more gentle taps on the right hand rod. This is on the clip down URFE rig again. It's proving to be the rig of the day really, isn't it? Very, very small little taps though. It's been going for a few minutes, so I thought it was time to pick it up, see if there's anything hooked. Really the most tentative little bite you can imagine though. I think whatever it is either very small or not very hungry. God, the tide's taken that down to the right a bit. I'm just going to move over, try and keep away from the groin. Nobody wants to lose a rig on the groin now, do they? I'm very in danger of doing so though. I'm going to move along a little bit more. Make sure I'm away from my other line. Yep. Right, let's get this reeled in. So it's certainly got some weight on there. Might have gone down tide because it's got a fish on, you never know. Certainly can be a sign. When this goes back out, I'll cast it more to my left because the tide's going left to right. Come on, get around that groin. Definitely got weight on it. Yeah, I'm safe. Didn't get caught in the groin. What do we have? Coming through the surf. Woohoo! Well, I didn't think it was going to happen today, but we've done it. I didn't think we were going to do it, given the colour of the water. But my flatty mojo is alive and kicking. It isn't the biggest place in the world, but we have what I was hoping against all the odds I'd pick up today. A beautiful little spring Plaice. There we go. Let's get this guy unhooked. I'll pop him in a bucket so he can recover. Happy days. Let's just get this hook out. Beautifully lip hooked. Certainly don't need the forceps to get this hook out. There we go. That's what we wanted. So there we go, all unhooked. It's had a little rest in the bucket and it's good to go back. I'll take you down with me. I do love catching my flatties. Well, that was worth getting here early for, wasn't it? Right, let's get this guy away. Just wait for this wave. Put down a little bit more, I don't want to get wet feet. There we go. Oh, yep, swam off. Whoa, sorry about the camera work there. It's hard when you're on your own. Now I'll get you tucked back in the tent out of the rain. Oh, sorry guys. Just bashed your head trying to put you back in. See you in a bit. Well guys, the rain ceased off again. You're back out the shelter. And I've been getting a bite for the last few minutes on the left-hand rod. That has got the clip down earth rig on it. So I'm just going to let this digger go past because it's noisy, and then we'll reel in and see if we've got anything on the end. There we go. Can you see him up there? They do like shifting the shingle around these parts this time of year. Oh, whiffy fumes as well. Come down the beach for nice clean air. Get to breathe in a bit of exhaust. Love it. Not. Right, let's lift into this, see if there's a fish on the end. I've got the 2-hook loop baited up, ready to go. Yeah, we've got weight. Definitely feels like there's something on this. Could it be 4-0 to the clip down earth over the 2-hook loop? With that 4-foot snood doing the business. Let's see, I don't want to count the chicks, we haven't got it in yet. Just come over that sandbar. And it's definitely gone a bit lighter which is not a good sign. I might have been getting ahead of myself with that 4-0. Still, it's had 3 species. I'm happy with that today, considering the tides and the conditions and the colour of the water and, you know, blah-de-blah-de-blah, frozen bait, any excuse you can think of. Nearly in. I can see my leader knot's got a big glob on it. Please be a fish on the end. Here comes the knot. Is that clean? Have we got a fish or did we miss it? Missed it. Damn. Right, let's get the tilt loop rig out. Oops. What am I doing, tangling that up? Right, I'll pop that lead down by the tripod leg. Get this one out, and again, because it's wet, I'm not going to put my thummy on, because I don't want to make things worse rather than better. I'm going to get this one out. That's it, get that bit of crud off the line. Just bash the rod there a little bit to get it off. That's drop length's good. Make sure I've got a nice firm grip because I've got no thummy on. Come on, loop rig, you can catch us a fish. Baits out. Lugworm razor fish. You know how it is. No action on the fish baits, other than that little tiny tap I had earlier. Very tentative it was as well. Right, that's back out fishing. We'll get some fresh worm on this. I might make that the last chuck on the worm bait. Not obvious that something's even had a go at that, but I definitely had a bite. Get some fresh bait for one last chuck. Well, well, well. The tide is well and truly into the ebb. And we have another bite on the right hand rod on the 2-hook loop rig. But yeah, this clip down earth. I know I've probably commented on it far too much during this video, but yeah, I'm really impressed. So thanks, Alistair, for the tip. I'm definitely going to be using this rig again. It's caught the fish today, flies like a dream, super simple to make. And you know what? I don't need to make bar rigs now. I've still got a few made up, so I'll get them used for sure. I'm not going to waste them or the effort I put in to making those up, but the clip down earth rig is definitely a winner from me. Love it. Give it a go. Get out there, try it. It's nice rig. Do I need the bit of tube? I don't know, maybe I'll experiment with that another time, but I always like putting a bit of tube when I'm fishing a snood below the lead. Cool, my voice is going a bit where I've had this bug. I'll just give that bite a little bit of time to develop, and then I'll bring you back when I reel it in. Well, that bite's been pulling away nicely, so it's time to see if it's on there. Caught myself. Once I've got this in, we'll get that clip down earth sent out for a last chuck. I know the fishing's just picked up, but it's time for me to head back home. We've got something on here. Maybe the sandbar. No, it definitely feels like there's a fish on this. It's got some nice weight. Be nice if it was another Plaice, wouldn't it? To be honest, I really wasn't expecting to get the one I had already, because the 40-mile-an-hour winds we had only 36 hours ago. Putting all this colour in the water. It is very calm around here. I'm fishing at Pevensey, as I'd have said earlier, which is really quite sheltered. The wind's quite westerly today, so that's why it's so flat here. I wouldn't have gone down to Brighton where it'd still be choppy. But that means Brighton's going to be, excuse me, Brighton's going to be off the cards for a little while probably, waiting for the sea to clear out. But yeah, we've got something on here for sure. It'd be nice if it's a bigger place, wouldn't it? It knows it's getting near the edge. I can see my leader knot. I've got a bit of glob on it again. What do we have here? Another flatty. Woohoo, a double shot. Look at that. 2 more Plaice, guys. I'll bring these over to the camera, get this rig unclipped. They've got themselves in a bit of a tangle. I'll just untangle them, then we'll hold them up. All right. Untangled. You'll see me again in a second, and it's not a Plaice. It's not 2 Plaice. We got a Plaice and a dab. Again, quite small fish, but nonetheless, welcome. Look at that. Beautiful double shot. Persistence paid off. So I'm going to get the clip down URFE rig sent out for one last chuck. And yeah, we got what we come for, even though I didn't expect to actually achieve the target. Woohoo! Well guys, I've packed up the fish baits rod. We're going to reel in the worm bait, clip down URFE rig. Is it the ultimate distance rig? I think it could be. What do you reckon? Leave us a note in the comments. Yay or nay? Are you going to give it a go? I'm certainly going to use it again. And you know what? I think we might have picked up another fish on it. Got some weight on this. And it's only 1 hook. So hopefully it's something slightly bigger than those 2 flatties I just chucked back. It does seem a shame to be going home. But it's nearly lunchtime. I set off from home at about 5:30 this morning. And it's raining. And sometimes, you know, you just need to look after yourself a little bit, don't you? What have we got on here? It'd be nice to finish on a fish, wouldn't it? Oh, it's gone a bit light. It's that sandbar. But we've had 4 species today. And considering I wasn't expecting anything much at all with the state of the tides and only frozen worms, I'm happy. Oh, it's getting near the edge. I'm pretty sure there's something on there. We'll find out soon enough. We've had bass, Plaice, dab, and that rockling. And do we have anything on here? Clean my leader knot. Yep, we've got another fish on the ultimate distance rig. Another little dab. There we go, guys. And that is how we're going to end today. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching, everybody. Really appreciated. Bye for now.